Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I do hope you've had an excellent week. I've had a beautiful week. We've got stunning weather today, very bright and warm. Very nice for a winter's day. Now we're going to carry on with our realistic portrait. I've chosen this particular eye because it has everything in it that I would like to do and to show you. It has these little reflections in the skin around the eye and particularly around the tear duct. It has these gorgeous reflections in the tear duct and along the side of the eyeball, all the way around the bottom here. Reflections on the side, reflections in the actual iris itself and across the white of the eye as well. It's beautiful. All these little reflections that we've got here in the skin, this is what we are going to attempt to do and what we are going to work towards, as well as these very dark pores that we have at the bottom here. So the purpose of this particular series is that we can draw something realistic as closely as possible to it. It won't be hyper-realism. That's a totally different sort of drawing altogether, but we will definitely be working towards a more realistic drawing. So I'm hoping, I know that some of you are unable to, well, I'm unable to attach the picture to the actual video, the tutorial. So I'm just hoping that perhaps you can do a screenshot. I'm trying to line it up with my camera so that you are able to take a screenshot and print it out for your own benefit. Do not worry about the man on the left hand side here. This is a tutorial that I have done. I did this earlier on before I actually started the sketchbook series. You're more than welcome to give it a go. It's very quick, very intuitive. It's not at all planned. It's just going with the flow and drawing it as quickly as possible. So I'm hoping that you're able to do a screenshot of this and that it has enough clarity on it for you to be able to print out for yourself. Right, so last week we were working on this drawing paper, which is the Fabriano 160 paper that we've started off with. It's our sketchbook paper that we are putting together. We have folded it in half. We bought an A3, we folded it in half, and we have got these leaves, or we've made these leaves that we're eventually going to sew together into a lovely sketchbook with all your beautiful practice on it. And last week we practiced bases for the skin. We tried, first of all, that was with a blending stump. It was not this one. These I've just found them on Take-A-Lot for those who live in South Africa. And these were incredibly well priced. I don't like the word cheap, but yes, very well priced. They have a huge array of blending stumps in them, as well as a sanding block. I thought that they were incredibly well priced. So I've tried them. I've tried this one in particular, and if you look at it, it looks as if we can peel it off later to be able to get a cleaner edge. I'm hoping that is what this is all about, but time will tell. Anyway, to get back to what we did. So we used the blending stump. We then used what was on the blending stump, and we got that as a background or skin tone for our drawing. Then I did a 2B, but you can see that we've got a lot of texture on this paper. This paper is textured. There's nothing wrong with that. That is exactly what this paper is all about. And then I used those brushes that I told you about that I bought. Those black silver brushes that I told you about that are absolutely superb. And we very carefully went round and round in a circle with this brush. Once we'd laid down 2B on here, we then lifted it out with a Tombow mono eraser. We put these freckles in. I quickly drew that to see what this brush could give us, and it's very, very nice. Beautiful, blends absolutely beautifully. Whoopsie daisy. And then I said to you that we were going to try it on a whiter paper. And this is Canson 1557. This is also for drawing. It is a much, much whiter paper. It's a lot smoother. Sorry, I just want to wipe my hands off. I was flattening out a piece of watercolor paper for a commission that I have. And I then put some cream on my hands, and as you all know, that is not good for drawing and touching your paper with. Anyway, this is Canson 1557. You buy it in an A3 pad, exactly the same as the Fabriano. It is a 180 gram, and it is a white finish. You can see the difference here between the two papers. This one is natural white and this one is white. Smoother finish, and we are going to test it out. As you can see, I jumped ahead. Apologies for that, but I get so excited when I'm doing something new that I jumped ahead without waiting for you guys. So let's start again. I used a 2H. As you know, I always start off my drawings in 2H, and then I use the blending stump, which is this blending stump here. That is with that brush here. So we're going to do it again. Just going to lay down some graphite very, very carefully, very, very lightly on the paper. Do not worry that you are going over it again. As you can see, I am. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this tone. We're trying to get the lightest tone on the skin that we can get, because we're going to be doing the entire thing like this. We're going to be doing a totally different way, or a different approach to what we've done up to now. And we're going to be laying this down and then lifting it out. So this is the reason for my trying this out. Let's see, I'm very, very worried about touching this paper because, as I said to you, I have got cream on my hands, and that is the worst possible thing. For paper, drawing paper, you'd end up with fingerprints, and obviously the oils stick to the paper and the graphite does not go over it very well at all. So here you can see a totally different look. We don't have as much texture because the paper isn't textured, and even those little streaks that we're getting off of the pencil, we are managing to get a very, very nice even layer of graphite here, which is exactly what we want. So let's have a look. So this is a 2H, and this is actually spread a whole lot easier than the other paper did, but purely because it is smooth and we're not getting that texture that we had on the Fabriano. So let's have a look at a 2B. We won't be laying this down in 2B, but I just want to see what we get. I'm going to lay this here. I actually want to do it with both. I want to do it with the blending stump, because these blending stumps, as I said to you before, are really, really nice, and they are really well priced. So let's lay that down. I'm going to lay down another bit here for the blending stump and go back to the 2H for that up there. 2B. Get the 2H out again. There we go. Trying to get it onto its side as much as possible. It seems that I'm laying this down quite heavily. Don't know why I have such a heavy hand all of a sudden with this. That's also alright. Let's see how it reacts. And these pencils are just so excellent for what they deliver. I mean, this is a 2H. A lot of people would chuck their H's out. I'm a believer in H pencils, as you know. I have explained that to you before as to how valuable they are. I think we're going to end up doing this whole exercise on this Canson 5057. So I'm hoping that you're able to get some before our next lesson. We won't be starting it on this with this particular tutorial, but definitely on the next tutorial we will be starting it. This is all just practice, and this is what I want you to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be Canson 5057. It can be another smooth paper of your choice, but try and get white, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because with the white, we can get the whitest whites that we want in the reflection, because remember that that is your number one tone, which is the white of the paper. So this, I'm getting streaks here, but that's the way I've laid it down. I mean, that is purely my fault. And this will take a little bit more effort because it's a much, much darker pencil. You can see that I am getting a texture from the paper. So this paper does have a bit of texture. So we'll definitely be laying the base layer with 2H. This has just confirmed that, because we don't want this texture. If we're doing this sort of work here, we don't want this texture in there already, because it's just going to confuse us, confuse the viewer with what we are trying to draw. So that has just confirmed that, and I'm not unhappy with that, because I think that this is beautiful. I think the 2H is a beautiful, beautiful base for us to lay down as the base of our realistic drawing, as we move into hyperrealism much later on. Right, so that is the 2H. This is with the brush. 2B. Gee whiz. Apologies, everybody. I don't know, my brain just is not working, but I mean, it is Friday, and I keep on saying it every single time I get to Friday, and it actually isn't true, because I don't work. So I'm not like a lot of you who work and then come back and draw. This is just brain fog. Right, let's see. Oh, look at that blending stump. That blending stump is actually appears to be doing a better job than what the brush is. It's quite interesting. I have to say that these blending stumps are really a big surprise. I'm a believer in that you get what you pay for. You pay for, if it's cheap, you're going to get cheap. But this is definitely not at all that philosophy. I mean, these were incredibly well priced. I can't remember how much I paid for them, but I got that whole pack. And I don't think it was even 200 Rand. And blending stumps, when you buy them on their own, 5 of them, they're over 60 Rand for that pack. I am speaking rands because I live in South Africa. I'm not sure if that is a good price or a bad price, but all I know is that I go through these way more than what I'd like to. And as we've seen before, when I've tried to clean them, I'm just looking at my blending stump, because I don't want to put that 2B down on the 2H, so you can clearly see the difference between the two sides. I just want to go back over this again. So this is going to take some time, but if this is what you would like to join me in doing, then this is what we're going to have to do. And I think it's going to be well worth it at the end. I think you're going to have a lovely surprise, and I think you're going to love the end result of this way of drawing. Just write on here 2H, brush, and this is blending stump. Okay, brush, blending stump. Okay, right. So if we were to do a similar, I'm going to lay down some more of that 2H, because I think that is where we are going with this. Lay down a bigger area, and I think that this is the paper we need to be working on. So I'm going to lay this down like this, and I'm going to use the brush. So this is where the time is going to be taken up. And I'm going to try it in two different ways. So we're going to do this first. And then I'm going to draw the eye, because I'm not too sure. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to do this first, and I'm going to see if I can lift out to the whitest whites, although I don't know why we would be doing that to begin with, when we can draw in the eye and do this around all of those highlights. And that is a much better way of doing it, much better process. So that is in fact what we will be doing. But let's just see what we can lift out, because we're needing to get these bright highlights, and we can draw those in. I mean, we can draw in all of this before we even start laying down the graphite. Could be a good exercise. But just be prepared for a much longer drawing process with this than what we did in the previous tutorials. So I'm hoping that my skills with my editing, I'm able to speed this part up, so that you don't have to sit here watching me blend this. But on the other hand, you're going to be doing this too, so I don't suppose it really matters that we're both doing it at the same time. You can see here, I'm sure I put my fingerprint down on there, which is very, yep, those are fingerprints. There's a fingerprint, there's a fingerprint, there's a fingerprint. So even though I've been so careful, and I would suggest that, which I'm going to do right now, I'm going to find my roller towel, which is in my room here somewhere. I think it's behind me. And I'm actually going to lay down a piece of roller towel on here so that I don't keep on smudging. But that is not good at all. So that is what you don't want. You do not want those fingerprints. As you can see, the graphite clings to it, and I'm actually quite pleased in a way that I have done that, because I want you to see what happens. I want you to see why it shouldn't, or why you shouldn't touch your paper like I have done. I did wipe my hands off, but clearly not enough. Right, so it is patchy. I'm just going to get a piece of roller towel. Put it underneath my hand while we're working here. So try and protect it. So the last time we worked with this Tombow and this Tombow, that's what we worked with. We used this round Tombow for these pores here, these round pores here that we can see. And we used this Tombow, which has got the oblong rubber in it. We use that for the streaks of the skin that we can see here. You can see that there are fine white hairs here. That would come off of his eyelashes, which is quite interesting. There are fine white hairs all the way around here. We're going to try and do all of that. So I'm going to try and pull out this reflection to see if I can get, yes, we can get back to the white of the paper. This is something I just wanted to check, because as a beginner, sometimes one is a little bit nervous of drawing the entire thing and losing your white, and I don't want you to be nervous about doing that. So that is quite easy to do. We can see that we can get back to the white quite easily with that. So I'm not too worried about losing the white on the eye. Then if we do the little pores, we do get the little pores. Fantastic. Do them randomly, do them all different sizes. And we are getting a beautiful result here. We're going to compare it just now to the Fabriano 160 gram, which is at the back of this piece underneath here. And if we use this one, remember, because I've just done it, to clean off your erasers before you put them down on your paper. So let's have a look. We're doing this part here. We're going to do these little streaks. Yep. We can get back to the white of the paper, which is great, because the one thing that worried me is that for us to draw this in would be almost impossible. We don't want to be doing that. Just want to see if we can get the white of the eye. It isn't white. You can see that it isn't white, but I just want to see if we can get back to, and we can do it quite easily. I'm going to use a brush just to brush that off, and then let's use our 2B and put in a little bit of an iris here. May not be exactly on, and in fact I'm telling you now it's not going to be exactly on. But let's have a look and see what we can do. I'm going to put in this white line around the bottom. I know it's going into my pores, but that's fine. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get this line in here at the bottom of the eye. See if we can just build this up a little bit. And I think we are going to have a marvelous time with this. So definitely, if you can get yourself a 180, 160 gram white paper, not natural white, we need a white paper. We are going to have a lot of fun doing this. The iris, and then I want to get into the back here. Remember, everything is done very, very lightly. Don't have a panic about it. Just do it lightly. Just remember that as we go along, we can easily rectify it. And I'm just messing around here. All that we are doing is we are just getting ourselves ready for this next lesson. Look at how gorgeous that is. That is going to be so exciting. I am so excited to do this with you guys. So my iris is way too low, you can see that, but that's because I have taken my highlight down far too low, but that's fine. You can look down for the moment. I'm not going to worry about that. And like I said to you before, this is not about perfect. When we are practicing, we are practicing. So the only thing I can say about this particular blending stump is that this point is not the greatest when it comes to this sort of finer area. I'm actually going to move this up because it isn't looking at all realistic. And I want to see if maybe I can pull that out. Bring it up. This paper is great. So now you can see that we don't need to have any fear. I'm going to put some more of this graphite back in here we had before, so you can see that it has picked up areas. You can see here it's darkened it, but that is fine. That is because I made that mistake on the eyeball. An iris is round, one has to remember that. and quite difficult to imagine when you're not drawing in the whole iris itself, but we can draw in that side, and then we can lightly take it out because that's exactly what is happening there. There we go, lift that out. Can move this up like that, move this down, it's blurred, and we've got these lines that are going through that light reflection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a little bit more here, and this comes sweeping around into the eye, up and out the other side. Now I'm going to darken this with the blending stump. I have enough graphite on it to actually do that without having to lay any graphite down. And I'm going to take out this here. And lay down some more there, because that is not as wide as what that is. And I haven't lost my white around the bottom here, which I'm quite pleased about. So we can put in that lower lid, take this up into there. There's a little white reflection on the side there. Let's see if we can get this in. Oh, we're going to have so much fun together doing this. This is great. This is absolutely great. This is absolutely great. I'll get some more in here because I want to get all that nice line around the iris that we can see without using my highlight. Put that back in again. And you can see that these radiate out. Beautiful, beautiful iris. I hope that you are as excited as I am about doing this. And then we can lift out these gorgeous bits of light that we can see. We are going to have a wonderful time drawing this together. I am very, very excited about this, I must say. Very, very excited indeed. As I said to you, it's going to take patience and it's going to take a lot of time. But that's what we're here for. We want to focusing and being able to talk and draw all at the same time. Quite something. So now you can see that there's this light actually goes through there, which is absolutely stunning. So I'm going to try and mimic that. Here we go. We're going to have to draw this in a totally different way to how we drew the other one, because we need a lot of detail in this eye. So when we do this, we're not going to be able to do as many, what's the word it's not going to be as forgiving, that's the word I'm looking for, as what the last tutorial was. Because on the last tutorial we were basically drawing and removing and drawing, and we could easily rectify it. But with this one, we're not going to be able to take, oops, picked up the wrong, we're not going to be able to do it as easily, because this is far more complicated, and we don't want to be laying down so much graphite that we having difficulty in picking it up afterwards. So I would rather say that less is more, and that we stop when we know that we should be stopping. So this is not by any means close to the tones and the depth. This is just a try out, and on this paper, just to see what we can achieve with it. And we are achieving a lot, I feel. So I don't know, it's entirely up to you. You are going to be drawing this along with me. If you feel that you would like to get this sort of paper, then definitely go and get some, so that we are able to draw this realistic area of the face, which is a small part. And as you can see, I mean, we haven't even really started yet, and it's already taking up quite a bit of time, but it's fine because we'll be doing it slowly together. There'll be no rush, and we will ensure that we get as close as we possibly can to what we are trying to achieve. So there's a quick trial, and the sort of thing that we are going to need to focus on. Trying to get this very, very fine line at the bottom here. See, I'm erasing and adding and taking out, and erasing and adding and taking out to try and mimic this. And I know that I've just done this straight off the hat. But we are going to easily do this, all of us together. We are going to have such good fun doing this. And I would encourage that you practice. You can see exactly what I'm doing. So you can see here that I've put down too much graphite already here on the bottom. I'm not quite getting to the white of the paper. But for a start, I think it's pretty good. Now you can see that once I start, I find it very, very difficult to stop, because we can put this in with the blending stump, this crease across the top of the eye. That helps us. And then we can take our eraser. I mean, I haven't done the whole with the tear duct. Let's just put the tear duct in. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. And then you see we can start taking out these little areas here, which are just fantastic. And I know I've gone into my skin thing that I was doing now. I'm fully and well aware of that. But we have all this white on the side here, these creases that we can try and get. So I'm really hoping that you are as excited as I am, because this is going to be such a fantastic series. And you can see I just cannot help myself, even though this is not 100% correct, and it definitely is nowhere close to what I would like to achieve or what we're going to be drawing together. You can see that I can't stop once I start, and this is what the excitement that I want you guys to have as well. We have an eyelash that's coming down. Look at these eyelashes that curl straight under and up. They don't even touch the lid. They don't even go past the lid like these do. Very, very exciting eye to do. Okay, everyone, I'm going to stop because otherwise I'm going to end up doing far too much, and we want to do this together and we want to do it properly. Have an awesome week, and I hope that you have enjoyed this as much as I have. Looking so forward to seeing you guys the next time around. Okay, so what I forgot to do was I forgot to show you the difference between the two papers. So there we have it. Here you can see the pores. And if I were to take my 2B and do a little, in fact I should actually do it with my 2H. This just almost feels like it's too strong. And then use my stump to get that shadow in. That's the difference between the two papers right there. You can even do this shadow that these pores have without the 2B. So yeah, this is what I was saying. So this blending stump, the points don't really deliver. You can see already that this point is flattened and I haven't even used it. And if I look at these in this packet, I have a smaller one. This one has a point to it, but this one, which is a bigger size 2, that's a 3, that's a 1. So this one almost has a hole, or does have a hole in it, and that's the difference. So one would have to use this one that is tightly bound. I don't have any graphite on it. I'm just going to put a little bit on it from the last tutorial that we did. Yep, there we go. So it really does only work well with a blending stump that has a good point. But there we are, everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope that you did too. And I'll see you next week. Enjoy the week.